In football, there are winners and losers, champions and runner-ups. Every team, no matter the win streak they're on or the super team they've constructed, will eventually have to face the disappointment of a loss. But while they all have the same effect on your record, not all losses are built the same. Let's say you were a Detroit Lions fan in 2008. You likely weren't that disappointed when they lost their 15th game in a row. But if you were, say, a Patriots fan in 2019, that wildcard loss to the Tennessee Titans was almost tragic. The difference between these losses all comes down to a few factors. Starting with stakes, what was lost here? Well, the game, but in 2008, the Lions were terrible. The damage had already been done. They had 0 playoff chances. This game, on the other hand, was a playoff game, so losing meant the end of their season. The more you lose out on from a defeat, the more unfortunate the loss is. The second major factor is the way or reason you lost. What went wrong? Neither of these games are great examples of this, so let's instead look at the 2018 NFC Championship game. Already, the stakes are superbly high. Whoever wins this game will advance to the Super Bowl and have a chance at becoming the world champions. But the most heartbreaking part of this loss was instead the reason they lost.
10. Quick snap. Breeze. Pass is incomplete. No flag for Tommy Lee Lewis. Nikel Roby-Coleman delivered a hit.
Many point to this moment as the sole reason the Saints lost the game. Rams cornerback Nikel Roby-Coleman slams into Saints wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis, a direct violation of the NFL's pass interference rule. But no penalty was delivered. If the foul was called, then it would place the Saints remarkably close to the end zone and could have virtually sealed a victory for the Saints. Instead, the Rams went on to win the game in overtime. This is a horrible way to go out and remains as one of the most heartbreaking ends in NFL history. The third major factor in creating a heartbreaking loss is the aftermath. What awful events did this loss directly or indirectly cause? For the Lions, Game 15 was just the 15th course in a grand meal of sorrow. But the Patriots' pathetic loss and what it represented was likely a major reason why legendary quarterback Tom Brady decided not to resign with the Patriots and instead go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he went on to win a Super Bowl at the old age of 44. The fourth and final major factor in creating a heartbreaking loss is infamy and humiliation. There have been hundreds and hundreds of terrible losses, but some stood the test of time and have become legendary and a detriment to the losing team's reputation. Games like this are often recognizable just from a symbol or sentence, and almost always come when the loss is entirely the fault of the losing team. Did you know that in Game 15 the Lions lost to the Saints in a blowout? Probably not. The more infamous and humiliating the loss is, the sadder it is. Now that we have a successful recipe for a heartbreaking loss, we should look at some examples, but not just any examples. I want to find, as objectively as possible, the most heartbreaking loss in NFL history. To find the most heartbreaking loss, we're gonna need to use some mathematics, John Boy style. This is the Heart Monitor 3000. We will give each loss a score for every category and multiply the numbers to try and get an objective measure of how heartbreaking the loss is. I will have to be a little subjective on the scores I give for each category, but I made up some default scores for what I predict will be common answers to each question just to balance things out. First, let's test this sucker out and plug in the Saints game we talked about before. For stakes, it was a playoff loss, so that is 6 points. The cause of their heartbreak was unfair and largely out of their control, another 6 points. For Aftermath, they got a 3. The Saints remained competitive for a couple of years afterwards, but this game was the closest they ever got. For Infamy and Humiliation, they get a 1. The most embarrassing part of this game was how whiny their fan base was. All that multiplies for a damage score of 108. Now that we have that example, it's time to find the most heartbreaking loss ever. After looking at a few articles and rankings, I put together a list of what I believe are the 5 major contenders: the Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl 49, the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 51, the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 42, the Arizona Cardinals in Super Bowl 43, and the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 25. Super Bowl 49 is most remembered for this moment right here. With 27 seconds on the clock, the Seahawks are 1 yard away from scoring a touchdown and essentially sealing the game. If it weren't for the following play, this would have been a heartbreaking loss for the Patriots, because to get here, the Seahawks threw a miraculous pass that looked like it was dropped at first, but after a bit of fumbling, Jermaine Kearse made the catch. In addition to this, the Seahawks had superstar running back Marshawn Lynch on their side, who could easily punch the ball in for a touchdown. Instead, this happened.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
We may never forget the devastated look on Richard Sherman's face. Super Bowl 51 was an extremely memorable Super Bowl in its entirety. The Falcons were a young, hungry team ready to win their first Super Bowl in franchise history. But before they could do that, they had to defeat the New England Patriots, who had won the Super Bowl 2 years prior. But everything was going perfectly for the Falcons. They went up 28 points to 3 in the third quarter, a 25-point deficit, and proceeded to piss it all away and lose in overtime. Super Bowl 43 is regarded as one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time, primarily because of the play that is about to happen. With 43 seconds on the clock, the Cardinals lead 23-20 in what would be their first Super Bowl win in franchise history. But Big Ben and the Steelers throw an outstanding pass, followed by an outstanding catch by Santonio Holmes, sealing the game for the Steelers. To this day, I hear Cardinals fans whine about how this shouldn't have counted. Super Bowl 42 is another all-time great Super Bowl, known for the great helmet catch. David Tyree comes down with this ridiculous catch by pinning the ball to his helmet. This allowed the Giants to score a touchdown, virtually winning the game. This isn't too bad until you realize that this was the first loss of the Patriots season. That's right, they went 16-0 in the regular season. The first perfect season since 1972, and the first since the league expanded the regular season to 16 games. The Patriots were 12-point favorites against the 10-6 New York Giants. That has got to be the worst position to be in and lose. Finally, we have Super Bowl 25, a classic. Our friends the Giants are back to torment some more Eastern teams, this time the Buffalo Bills. It's the last play of the game and the Giants lead 20-19, but all the Bills have to do is make a relatively easy field goal to win the game. But that obviously didn't happen.
There's a kick. It is up. It is no good. No one missed. 4 seconds left.
Wide right. This was also the beginning of the most embarrassing playoff stretch ever, where the Bills lost 4 consecutive Super Bowls. Now that we have the scoop on all these legendary L's, it's time to throw them through the heart monitor and get our definitive ranking. At number 5, we have the Arizona Cardinals with 1,152 points. At number 4, we surprisingly have the Patriots with 1,920, likely due to its low infamy and aftermath scores. Number 3, Bills with 2,240. We've officially broken 2,000, and it is now down to just 2 losses. These games represent what it means to lose in heartbreaking fashion. the two most iconic losses and the two most iconic Super Bowls. With that being said, the most heartbreaking loss in the history of the NFL, as far as I can tell, is the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 51 with a whopping 3,136 points. The Seahawks scored a cool 2,688, nothing to be ashamed of, but here is our winner, or loser? I don't really know. Keep in mind that despite my methods, this is still a pretty subjective list, and if you have a different opinion, you don't need to change it to fit this list. Have a good day, maybe subscribe, I don't know, free country.